Hello, everybody. I believe we are all good. Yes, we are. Hello. Live from Denver. It's Friday night. Hello, everybody. Hey, critics. How you guys doing out there? Good, I hope. Good. Looking and sounding good. Excellent. Happy Friday. Hey, Folsom. Hey, Arkansas. Happy to have you on here. Yep, got it perfect this time. That's right, because I did a checklist. Just like I said I would. All right, yes. Oh, Debbie, I am so sorry for your loss.
I
Thank
saw
you
that.
for being here, and I hope we can bring a little joy and happiness into your life this evening. I am very sorry for your loss. Okay, guys, boy, what a week. What a week. What a day, what a week, what a month, what a year, what a millennium. What a time to be alive. Yeah, ooh, okay. Don't spin in the air, I'm buffering. No buffering. All right, so, let us throw out our call-in line number. This is a call-in show. It is 984-214-4154. I have prepared a boatload of information to go over with you, but I, of course, am more than happy to dump all of this to talk to you guys, okay? So this is the Critical Conversations call-in show. Now, of course, as we are wont to do, and I better get this out of the way quickly before I forget or go wandering off to something else. Seven Kim. This is our, yep, there he is. There he is. Now, we had to bribe him this week because the initial look on Seven was that he was going to be sleeping down in the bottom of his tree, and we're like, nope, we're not going to let you do that to our audience again, Seven. So we bribed him with some catnip there.
And there he is eating it.
That's right. That is Melissa's genius work there. So there you can see Seven actually in motion. Proof of life. There he is, rocking the catnip and having a good old time. So that's our little ball of fluffy love.
Yes.
Yeah, edibles. That's right. And Christina, we call our cat Seven because
he's got a little white 7 on his hind leg. Looks like a little 7, so that's how he got his name.
That's right. And in fact, we were joking the other night that if he was going to get some clotting trimmed or something, some hair clumps, that he might end up coming out of that looking like 8 or 6
Yeah.
or 4 or something. So, but we will keep calling him 7. Yeah. Yeah, good times. Okay, so we might have possibly let our hair down a little bit this evening. We might possibly have cause for joy and happiness this week. And I'd like to talk about that a little bit. Before we get into the whole alternate realities thing, which I am prepared to talk about in some detail, I first wanted to talk about this week because it was a big one. You know, it's been 4 years of a lot of worry, a lot of stress. I'm not going to start throwing, psychological conditions or psychiatric terms around right now. I don't feel the need to do that. I think we all have an understanding of where our heads have been for the last 4 years and how concerned, upset, anxious, we have been at various times about how our lives have been going and how our lives could go and what could happen and the fear of that. And also, of course, an awful lot of upset and turmoil generated about what did happen, what was done, the policy changes, going all the way back to remember when the EPA was sort of dismantled a bit and other regulations, and we were all freaking out. And it just kind of carried on from there. And it's been 4 years of fun and games. First, yes, right, Henny, first woman vice president. Historic times we are living in so many ways. We are, it's funny because we knew last year with COVID that we were living in historic times.
Yeah.
That Trump himself was an outrageous president, every president is memorable or has some memory or some
Something
meme
attached to him, yeah.
Yeah, some meme attached to him, exactly. Even the really uneventful ones, I don't know, cheated on their wives, got assassinated, died in the tub, whatever happened to them. But
had a war.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of impossible to, to be the president of the United States and not have a historical footnote of some kind. So it's not really any vast statement of importance to say that Trump was or wasn't more or less historically important than any other president. Really, at the end of the day, time is what's going to tell us that more so than what's happening in the here and now, because everybody always thinks they have it the worst in the time that they're living in. You go back and read some history and you find out it's always the best of times and it's always the worst of times.
Exactly.
So I'm not commenting on that aspect of it, but I am saying that COVID made 2020 a year where we were living in history for real, where we were really living in what is going to be remembered for a very, very long time. And all over the world. And I think we've made this point before. This is an international thing. There is no one who wasn't touched by it. But where that was the bad, where I wanted to go with this is, because I'm always looking for the upside, is that we are now living in even more reasons for historical times that we are living in, is that we have our first female vice president. We have our first female president, a vice president of color.
Yep.
Right? Oldest president, not necessarily a metric I was hoping to hit, but we got that one.
Don't keel over, man.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a question from Susan. Anybody have any stimulus checks yet? Haven't gotten mine. Actually, I will say we filed our taxes electronically, and we did get ours almost immediately. So I know it's been, results may vary for everybody out there, but we got ours right away.
Yeah, pretty quick.
I don't know what the holdups are. I haven't even looked into it or anything like that. Just saying. Even Alex Jones has had enough of QAnon. Yeah, Alex Jones is actually facing some trouble right now because I think it was the Texas Supreme Court. I believe I read this today. Has rejected his appeal to the Supreme Court on his trying to sort of slither out of that Sandy Hook defamation case. He is going to have to face the music. That is apparently going to go to trial now, or at least the hurdles that that Alex Jones's lawyers were trying to raise to get out of that, to get the whole thing dismissed or get him out of that, have failed. So the Sandy Hook parents have been suing Alex Jones, or certain of them, for defamation. I believe it's a valid suit. I believe Alex Jones used his platform in a destructive fashion to tell lies that had real-world consequences of importance, because these Sandy Hook parents, if you don't know or haven't heard anything about this, were stalked and harassed in real life. These were parents of children who were shot and killed at Sandy Hook. And Alex Jones, put out this narrative that it didn't happen, that they were crisis actors, that nobody really died, and forwarded this narrative for quite some time, even after being told, even after being sued, even after being or threatened to be sued. He doubled down, tripled down, wouldn't stop with this nonsense. And so now he's facing legal repercussions for it. And I think that that's a good thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Some of those parents had to move several times, things like that.
Yeah, it was crazy what happened to those poor people. I mean, the tragedy of losing your own child
is just so terrible. Yeah.
It is beyond.
Yeah.
To then have some asshole DJ radio personality or conspiracy platform personality start targeting you and talking about how your loss was fake, how it didn't happen, how it's all just some weird deep state conspiracy, and you're sitting there grieving and trying to figure out how to move on with your life, and this is happening, and then people are following you, are yelling and screaming at you, are telling you what a horrible, awful person you are for faking it. I mean, anyway, you guys definitely get the idea. But it kind of feeds into the sort of narrative of the show here this evening, which is alternate realities. And I think this is something we're going to have to talk about. So I thought maybe, well, here we are, first week. Let's go. Let's get into this, right? We have opposing realities in this country. And
Yes, we do.
somehow social media has exacerbated that as we've gone over, as we are learning.
Yeah, I mean, what you believe, you get a different news feed depending on what you've been clicking on.
Exactly.
So we're not seeing the same news articles.
Exactly. And I thought it might be helpful, useful, interesting to go over some of how this occurs. But I thought it might be even more interesting to take a phone call first. So let us see. I think this is hello, Christina.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey there. How you doing?
I am good. How are you this evening?
I am very well, thank you. See, I just called to share my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I've been following you, and I watched Leah's show, and it got me thinking. For a while, when I heard about L. Ron Hubbard, I thought to myself, "Oh, he's just a science fiction writer, nothing serious, And after I've been listening, and I find out more about Scientology, I'm like, as I said before, I thought to myself, people really believe that? He's a sci-fi writer.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I know exactly what you mean. And I can tell you absolutely.
And I sort of brushed it off.
Yeah, we believed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they made whole religion out of it.
That's right.
That's right. So, yeah, I sort of brushed it off, but, people like you and Leah and everybody else took seriously to it.
Yeah, we really did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I really wanted to say.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling in and letting us know. And I'm glad that you're watching and checking out what we have to say now. And, we're really...
absolutely. This is fascinating.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for calling in.
Absolutely. You guys have a good one.
Bye-bye. All right. There we go. Good. Okay. Yeah. Alternate realities. I've lived them. And in fact, I really, and I think we all do in a way, which I'm going to go over, but obviously the reality I lived in was quite a bit different from the reality most people live in. And if you think about it, crazy or the idea of being out of your mind or having something wrong with you or whatever has a lot to do with our concept of a shared or a group reality,
right?
And I mean, even Hubbard knew this and talked about it. This is an old idea, that reality is agreement, that reality is what we see and all agree is real. Scientology takes that shit way too far because they put there that you are spiritually creating everything around you all the time. And that you and me are only in agreement on this table being here.
Right, nothing else.
Because we both agree the table's here is why the table is here, right? I mean, you can get a real kind of metaphysical and go over and start going into Deepak Chopra territory kind of quickly if you let yourself get it, go a little out of hand with this stuff. But where I was going with that is that, a lot of this crazy talk, they're crazy, they're nuts, they're insane, they're absolutely batshit. That is really, it's not a mental diagnosis. It's kind of a thing I had to realize, it's not a mental diagnosis. It's actually just a point of you don't agree with what everybody else here agrees with. Right. It's in group, out group.
Yeah, you're either seeing something or not seeing something that everybody else is.
Exactly. Now we have another call here. It looks like Benjamin. I'm gonna take this. Hello.
Hey, can you hear me all right?
I can. Can you hear us? How you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm doing fair enough. So I was gonna try to tie in my topic and then briefly leave. But
Okay.
anyway, yeah. So
What you got?
I was into Scientology and Eckankar, so I know the ropes a little bit about that.
Cool.
But I was actually just calling about the COVID thing and how it's affected healthcare for normal people with like health problems.
Yeah, sure.
So the alternative. Okay, I'm going to try this in here. It's kind of funny. So the alternative reality right now is I'm on day 14 of a migraine and I'm unable to get help.
Oh.
And like I've already, you know what I mean? I've gone to neuro. I'm laughing it off only just because I'm on a sleep med right now. But it's like you go to the ER and then like basically I look like a hippie, so they treat me like a drug addict, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to a neurologist, same thing happens. And then you do the virtual ones too. And then it goes nowhere. And so I just wanted to, I don't even really know what I wanted to say, except for like COVID has affected me like horribly just in the regular healthcare aspect. I don't know if you guys have anything to say.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you want to chime in on this one.
No, it's definitely changed it.
I'll just hang up now if you want. Or do you want me to hang up?
No, I go ahead and stay on for a second. We're here to talk.
Okay.
So stay on for a second. But Melissa here has a few conditions I don't.
Yeah.
And has been dealing with some of that this last year.
Yeah, and it go with the doctor's appointments. Yeah, most of them have been virtual. A lot of them, and that's always weird. It's not the same thing as being in the office.
Yeah, they don't they don't see if it's like a topical issue, for example,
Yeah.
like a skin issue or something, like there's so many things that they can't diagnose virtually as much as I wish they could.
Yeah, because they need to be able to see it, touch it, whatever it is,
Exactly.
Right. Biopsy it or whatever.
Yeah.
So what has your experience been, like good or bad or mixed?
It's mostly, it's been pretty mixed. I mean, like when it's just general stuff where, you're seeing them over the phone or over Zoom or something, and it's just like a check-in and you're like, okay, your last lab result was this, fine. But when you really need something done and it's hard to get a hold of them and it's hard to get in, and I know I had some tests for something done and it took like months to do all the tests because they were having problems with COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
What else is sad too is like at the end of the visit you have to just bring up like, all right, if there's not like cure, can you please at least help me with like sleep or migraine or anything? And it gets so awkward, especially if you've got like pseudo discrimination going on a little bit.
Yeah, so, I hear you on that.
You know what I mean? So I have to bring it up, but then I end up just like crying, being like, all I wanted was like 2 sleeping pills so I could heal,
Yeah. Yeah, and we're also, I'll tell you another thing I can comment on that. I don't know if it's hitting your area, but I have a friend in Arizona who's getting hit hard on the opioid shutdowns, right? Because they're really...
Same here, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's it's understandable.
They want me to go to a clinic.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's understandable, except for they need to be able to screen for like people who like snort it and like shoot it up and are like taking some.
Yep.
Versus the people who take one at a time.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like there should be like a lie detector or an e-meter to detect that.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't that be nice?
I'll take my e-meter down to the pharmacy and I'll get them trained up on that.
It's like I'm not trying to bamboozle anybody,
No, I hear you, man. Anyway, my friend in Arizona is in the same situation, so I hear you, man. Totally.
Yeah, and is he just suffering now? Just terribly suffering?
Yeah, he is.
Oh.
Back pains. Yeah, his back is really messed up. So, yeah, it's no good.
Yeah.
That's why we got to get this healthcare thing sorted out.
I'll let you go for now, but I just wanted to chime in on that mild little thing there.
Awesome. Thanks for calling in, man.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye. All right. Yeah. It is rough out there right now. Somebody's saying don't get sick.
No kidding.
Now's not the time. Take care. And really what that really translates to, because that's kind of a silly thing to say to somebody, is Just take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the precautions are the precautions, and I think you guys, you know, who are watching my show know. We don't, you know, we want you guys alive.
Yes.
You know, to me, masks, all that shit, that's not political. Has nothing to do with that
Right.
at all. Has nothing to do with it. You know, not wearing a mask, not taking precautions, is, you know, tantamount to not drinking water, or, you know, not just not have, if you have a cough, go get some cough syrup. I mean, you take care of yourself. You do things. It's that level of it, you know. But it's been so radicalized. So, hey, man, cool. Okay, so oh, that's an interesting question. Robert Arbuckle. I'm trying to explain cognitive biases and logical fallacies to my older brother. How do I do this with the type of person to call other people idiots and insult them more if they are offended? Robert, I would suggest bringing the level way down on, you know, rather than moving in on logical fallacies and cognitive biases, I would start lower. What is an argument? You know, what is a truth claim? Why would other people have different points of view? Which is kind of some of what we're going to talk about now. So actually, let's go ahead and get into it a little bit. Except we got another call, which is awesome. Okay, good. Let's take another call. Hello, you are on.
Hi, this is Anne.
Hi, Anne.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're good. Thanks for calling in. What can we help you with?
I just wanted to let you know that I had just found your YouTube channel in the last 2 weeks, and that it's been really awesome, and I've been learning a lot, and
Great.
I just wanted to call in and let you know that, and I appreciate everything you've put out there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a little weird for me to be calling in, so.
No problem. No worries. I'm very glad that you did.
Well, thank you. I did want to mention that I'm coming out of evangelical fundamentalism and cult, you know, a cult background.
Yep.
So it's nice to find someone online, or you know, who's been through that and feel like I'm not alone.
Absolutely. You definitely are not alone.
Yeah. And I did want to maybe bring up what you're talking about with the alternate realities and how confusing it is when you're coming out of that kind of thinking.
Yeah.
Because I still know people that are in that, and how that can affect, you know, with the Trump thing.
Yeah.
I still know people who are fundamentalists, and you know, someone who I thought was like as close as a family member, and they had posted a link to a video that I didn't think was good. It was, you know, inciting violence basically. And anyway, and how that can come between people. And they had put on their Facebook that if you don't agree with this, then you're not my friend. And so when the riots happened, you know, I just unfriended this person, and I didn't realize it was kind of painful, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I get it. I totally get it. Can I ask you, how long have you been on the exit end of this thing, of leaving this situation or getting out of it?
Well, so like you, it's fascinating to see people in other systems, how you go through the same thing. So it's been in stages. So, you know, the first stage was leaving the actual more cult environment, which was over 20 years ago. But then you still think, you know, it's just something wrong with that person, that church. You still believe in the whole system. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I remember hearing you talk about Scientology that way.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. So then I investigated other denominations, you know, more liberal ones. And so, but now I guess I'm to the next stage where I'm questioning, you know, the whole foundational system of Christianity. So, that's pretty recent.
Okay, cool.
So that's the scariest stage.
Yes, and I definitely understand. And take your time. You know, you got it. You got time on your hands. So no hurries, no worries. You know.
Yeah, but that's why I appreciate, I don't know anyone in real life who's quite going through the same thing. So that's why I appreciate,
Yes. Totally understood. Hey, can I ask you, on this theme of alternate realities and stuff, were you a we don't have to go into politics, but and I don't mean to push it in that direction, but I'm curious, as part of the Fundy evangelical belief set and community you were part of, was Fox News or was that kind of talk radio or that sort of thing prominent as well in your world?
When I was younger, I did listen to some right-wing radio, and I never was. I've been skeptical. Like, even though I feel like I was very indoctrinated, I don't feel like I ever totally lost my. I don't feel like I was totally brainwashed 100%.
Of course, yeah.
So I never. But there was a point. I really did. I didn't understand the dangers of the right-wing evangelical fundamentalism getting tied up with politics until pretty recently, I would say,
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't a part of it, I didn't really understand the dangers of that and understand what was going on. So,
right. And that makes sense, because when you're in a world where everybody's agreeing and everybody's kind of on the same page, why would there be any red flags?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, everybody's getting along. Everybody's saying the exact same thing. What's the problem?
Everyone's agreeing, having a good time.
I don't know if that was totally your experience, but certainly was mine in Scientology.
Like the demonizing of the other side. I think I bought into that longer. You know what I mean? Like just being afraid of seeing it so black and white. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Making the, it's always the us versus them.
Yeah, so that's been really helpful to learn about that dynamic more in depth.
Yes. It's a big deal, and as you start becoming more aware of it, I think you'll see how it applies in more and more areas of life.
Yeah, for sure, and I totally agree with that. And I wanted to ask you. Okay, this is alternate reality, but it's a little different.
All right.
I wanted to ask both of you. I noticed that a couple of references to Star Trek.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you guys are fans. And
oh yeah,
very much so. Yes, I have Star Wars, Marvel, and Star Trek stuff basically all over the house.
Oh yeah,
that's
my
awesome.
thing. Yeah, that's my jam. So
yeah,
Melissa,
I'm a Star Trek fan.
Are you? That's awesome. So, what is your guys' favorite series? Well,
mine's probably Next
one?
Generation, just because that's what I grew up on.
Yeah,
exactly. And mine
too.
is original series for the exact same reason. I grew up in the 70s, 80s watching the reruns and then the movies with Kirk and Spock and all that, and that's my Star Trek. The Next Generation didn't really do it for me, but I'm not down on anybody for liking it. I understand it's different generations have different experiences.
It has its level of cheese.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's not like I hate Picard or something. I mean, it's fun. It's a fun show. It's just for me, it's Star Trek the original is my thing.
Yeah. Can I tell you guys about a little experience I got to have about 12 years ago?
Sure.
I thought because of you guys, you're in Denver, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are.
Okay. About 12 years ago, I lived in Colorado Springs, and the Denver Symphony had a Star Trek a program, and they brought in Robert Delancey and Robert Picardo, and they did this whole Star Trek program of all the music, and they narrated it, and it was so great.
Oh,
so that
awesome.
reminded me of that, because you're in Denver, and we went to that in Denver, and it was amazing.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah.
Well, let me reversely share with you that when Melissa and Ruth and I went to the Reason Rally in 2016, John Delancey was there because he's an atheist, and he spoke about it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was actually, I did not see that coming. It was awesome. It was fun.
Do you like Q? Do you like him as Q also?
God,
yes, I do. That character was something that I really, really enjoyed in the Next Generation.
He was just perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And during the performance, Robert Picardo, who's the doctor on Voyager, he would talk about Captain Picard. And every time he would say Captain Picard, Robert Delancey would just come up behind him and say, and add an O to it. Or no, it was the other way around. Robert Delancey would say Picard, and then Robert Picardo would come up and add the little O.
Wow, the O on it. Right. Nice. Well, thank you very much for calling in.
Yeah, thank you. Can I ask you one related question to Star Trek? And then I'll hang up. I was wondering, speaking of alternate realities, I was wondering how your fandom of Star Trek and other sci-fi influenced you. Do you think it helped you get out of Scientology or influenced you before, during, and after? I'm just curious about the influence that, your sci-fi and Star Trek fandoms had on you in terms of your Scientology and worldview experience. But that's basically what I'm wondering.
Absolutely. And what I can say is that, unfortunately, my sci-fi mind, or my, the fantasy sci-fi part of my world, meshed very well with Scientology's belief set. And so, I mean, even to the point where, Star Wars begins a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, right? So it's in the past, not in the future. So it was, it really aligned with my Scientology, we've lived forever kind of thing. And it was, and I kind of, the two things kind of fed off each other a bit, and then after I got out, of course, I could appreciate more the broader themes that were being discussed in Star Trek without my cultic filters. And once those were kind of stripped off, Star Trek and Star Wars and other stories that had deeper subtexts that I hadn't noticed before, that started coming out more for me. And that was the difference.
Okay. Interesting. I was just curious what effect that had.
No, it's a great question.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking my call.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling in. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.
All right. Great call. What a fun conversation. Yeah, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. I know you guys are going to hate me now, but I tried Deep Space Nine. I could not do it. We tried. We watched a few episodes. I just wasn't my jam. Okay. Alternate realities. Oh, let's check in with Seven first.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Seven Cam, there we are. Oh, there he is, still going at it. Look at that guy. Little drug fiend. And you, the pusher. I'm just kidding. There he is. Okay, so our little bundle of love is still feeding away there. Oh, he is going to be bouncy tonight. But that's okay. It definitely beats him just laying around, which he does a good chunk of the day. Oh, that's interesting. Lucas was swiping at fundamentalists. Cool. Good for him. Okay, here we go. So, alternate realities. I am doing a research proposal now on my university studies, and thankfully I got a little extension of time because I was stressing the fuck out on this thing. But I don't have to turn it in now for a little bit, which is good. And I've been doing a lot of research. And reading papers and diving down into things. And I am not trying to figure out QAnon. I'm not trying to dissect QAnon and figure out its command structure and its whole elaborate history and all of that kind of crap. I've been down enough of those rabbit holes that I know that there is no bottom source, single source to it. You're going to find it's a web of crazy. And there are lots and lots and lots of different ways of modeling it or framing it or looking at it. So that's not my research proposal. That's not what I'm trying to do. But what I am looking at is, why do people get involved with it. What is your average QAnon person? And of course, you have to kind of put a limiter on it, because it's going to keep morphing and changing and growing and doing whatever it's doing, or shrinking. I mean, it's really kind of, there's a lot of people very interested right now in where QAnon is going. I am one of those people, but the reason I'm going into all this detail about it is because I want you guys to know I'm not studying QAnon as a phenomenon. I'm not studying QAnon as a set of ideas or conspiracy theory. I am studying QAnon, or looking into QAnon, as something I want to write a research proposal on, to go study and interview people involved with QAnon and find out what motivated them to go into that belief system in the first place, and what drives them to stay in it and keep that alternate reality going. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now academically. And so I'm reading papers, and I've been reading papers. There is very little tiny stack of papers, of actual sociological or psychological formal academic papers written on an actual study of QAnon in any way. It's too new. It's only been around since 2017, which is not a long time in the academic world. And studies take a while, and surveys take a while, and analyzing that stuff takes a while. And so, so there's really not a lot. There's a little bit, but there's not a lot. So I started, as you guys know, I have experience with flat earthers. So I thought, from the conspiracy theory side, let me go look in on flat earthers and see what kind of literature might exist on that. And there's a lot. So I printed a bunch of it out, just a little smaller, a little higher of a stack of papers, and been reading some of those. And this is a paper, and I want to give credit where credit is due, because I wanted to go over some of the ideas in this paper with you guys on this topic of alternate realities, because this paper opened my eyes in a couple ways, or helped elaborate on some points that I had known about but hadn't thought about in a particular angle, or from that way, or put it together that way. I went, oh yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. And I thought this might be something you guys might want to hear about and go over a little bit, right? Because we're trying to understand not just QAnon, not just conspiracy theorists, not just, crazy people. We're in a place now where we're divided, but it's not necessarily just a binary division. It's not just one side. It's not the reds and the blues. We've probably got about 4, maybe other unidentified ones. I'm only sort of thinking broadly here, but we don't just have 2 sides. We have at least 4. Because the GOP, remember, Trump split the GOP. The GOP is not one solid amorphous thing. It is a bunch of different people, old school, original school, conservative, old school conservatives, your George Wills of the world type people. Basically, the GOP before Trump came along as a populist and sort of split it. You kind of got 2 groups there now. And they're not necessarily really getting along or even talking to each other, which is fascinating, because they're all over on this thing we call the right. Meanwhile, on the left, it's not like the left is some united front. Are you kidding me? There's probably 20 different demographics on the left. Yeah. But we can at least split them into 2 on, classic liberals, classic progressives, old school Democrats, right? Workers' Party kind of Democrats. And then there is the more modern progressive ideas and the reflective social values and all that. I believe you could viably create 4 political parties out of this, where we have 2 right now. At least, like on an almost immediate basis, you could do this. And we would see where, what did Trump do to the GOP? Because he clearly did something. Yeah. And we could also see what AOC and some more modern progressives are doing on the left, because I think there are big splits there too. Reason I bring this up is because these are all of these things, these belief sets are driven by different versions of reality, different ways of interpreting and perceiving the real world, right? And that's kind of what we're talking about this week in the show here. And we have another call. I think this might be a Scientology call. Hello, you are on.
Yes,
Ah,
I've heard that the Seattle org has been shut down.
okay. I heard it was
I've seen
boarded up.
pictures
I heard it was boarded up. I didn't know if that meant it was closed.
Yeah. I saw a video of some guy videotaping it, and he could see. He looked up and he could see people in upper windows. But what really surprised is that nobody came out and really harassed them. You know,
No.
they just pretty much let them alone. Where normally they'd be on like flies on shit.
Yeah, they probably would have, but it's the time of COVID. You know what I mean? We're not going to go getting in people's faces at this point.
No kidding.
You know, if we can help it.
Yeah, like it wouldn't happen if what scavengers would think if people were to slowly abandon these orgs, that some people just walk out the door and never come back, and it turned out to be a nationwide thing. People were just walking away.
That would be nice to see.
I wonder how he'd react to that.
Oh, I don't know that he'd be very happy.
No, because he probably wouldn't have enough. If everybody just abandoned him, he wouldn't have enough manpower to restock him, so to speak.
Exactly.
And all over YouTube, there's people telling these horror stories about how they go into these ideal orgs. And one lady, they wouldn't let her out unless she, basically extortion. They wouldn't let her out. They had 3 or 4 people blocking the door, and wouldn't let her and her friend out unless they came up with $12.
Wow.
Yeah, buy a book. Yeah, they're pretty desperate.
And the thing was, well, with all the bad press and everything, get it some years, Scientology has the nerve to still play innocent.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, they don't hide who they really are. They say one thing and get the consequences of doing one thing, and saying one thing and doing another. They don't. They're not afraid to show the world who they really are, even though they still like to claim innocence. Yeah,
no, that's. I mean, at the end of the day, cults are gonna cult. I mean, You always kind of imagine that maybe this time there will be an exception, or they won't do it, or this won't happen as in such an awful way. And inevitably it does. It's kind of like dealing with a narcissist. You keep giving them a benefit of the doubt. You keep giving them the benefit of the doubt until eventually you learn that there is no doubt. They're going to keep hurting you. They're going to keep acting that way, and they're not going to stop. And that's the same as Scientology. I saw a video of the Clearwater City Council that basically told Scientology just to piss off. Yeah, that was awesome.
That must have just pissed off the scavenge at no end. I keep wondering how he's going to try and retaliate.
Yeah, and he will. There's zero question about it. There will be retaliation. It won't be pretty. Mm-hmm. It might not be public. You might not ever hear about it. But he will try to do something. There is no question about it. And I don't mean try to do something violent. He will do something, though. And what that is anybody's guess, because whatever ammunition, he's been storing up against this Clearwater City Council for however long he's been doing it, or against other government officials. Miscavige, he's that kind of guy.
Yeah. And I believe Mark Bunker was instrumental. If it wasn't for him, it'd be business as usual.
That's right. That's exactly right.
He's the one who forces the issue out in the open and wouldn't let people stick their head in the sand.
That's right.
And he forced them, and finally face the truth, and finally logic. And now logic has finally prevailed.
That's right.
And so Miscavige, just can't. He's had one door closed on him, and and hopefully many more.
Exactly.
I'd like to see him just so isolated that nobody wants to have anything to do with him. that he has no power anymore. Nobody will listen to him or anything.
You know, at the end of the day, I truly believe that for people like Miscavige, people who are spiritual or psychic vampires, you might say, or people who prey on other people, I think that could possibly be the worst punishment you could ever give them, would be to take away their power and influence that way and isolate them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they are, what they do is they isolate others, and then they abuse the shit out of them, right? And for them to be isolated and depowered would be as bad as it could get for them. You know, that'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I like to think that modern people are not as suckable as they used to be.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far quite yet. I wouldn't say that quite yet, but I think we're getting, I think maybe there's, I think we're getting better. Actually, maybe, yeah, we might be getting better. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if we survive some of these challenges coming up. But all right, man. Well, listen, thank you for calling in.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for your contributions here. Always fun talking to you.
Yep.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Bye.
All right. And, there is another call on the screener right now. We're going to let that percolate for a minute. I just want to check up. Are we all good on the comments and everything?
Yeah, they're talking a little bit about how some of our leftist politicians would be centrists in Europe.
Yeah, exactly. Alex is in the house. Hey, Alex. All right, cool. Hey, Bellingham, Washington. All right. Yes. Okay, alternate realities. Let me see if I can make one little point here, and then we will take this next call. This paper was written by Daniel Loxton in 2019. It's from Skeptic Magazine. It is from the Skeptic Society and Skeptic Magazine, and it is called Understanding Flat Earthers. And I don't have a link to this because I found it in a lit review through the library searches, which is through my university. But if you have access to Skeptic Magazine or can look it up online, you can find this article. And I do suggest reading the whole thing because it's quite fascinating. Now, this goes into flat Earth, but I'm going to go over a couple points that I think are there's specific stuff about flat earthers in here that applies more broadly. Okay, not everything does by any stretch of the imagination, but I will certainly apply a lot of what's written here to QAnon and to Alex Jones followers or other conspiracy theorists, anti-vaxxers. Let's go there. Here is a quote from this article. These flat earthers, just to sort of like first dismantle they're all a bunch of stupid idiots thing. And we go over this all the time, so you guys know where I'm coming from on this. But this is actual factual information. The flat earthers comprise a broad cross-section of people, quote, all of them unfailingly earnest and lovely in the experience of the New Yorker's Alan Burdick. I recommend the 2018 documentary Behind the Curve, which we actually just watched.
We watched a couple weeks ago, yeah.
That's right. To humanize this oddly familiar community. The film reveals flat earthers as generally bright, funny, nerdy, morally motivated folks who rather resemble skeptics. And I'm going to say that is an absolutely true statement. And I get to say that because I've spent hours and hours and hours of real-time, real-world interaction with flat earthers. I'm not talking theoretically about this when I confirm this information. Their shared convictions provide many of the same rewards that skeptics find together, such as community, fellowship, common interests, and intellectual engagement. And I know some of you right now are like, practically spitting your drinks out, but I'm telling you, stupid people don't think about the shape of the earth. Stupid people don't watch YouTube videos. They don't understand anything that these people are talking about. It does take some gray matter working in order to do flat Earth. And this is no defense of flat Earth. You know how I feel about this crap, okay? But I'm trying to understand them, and this is part of the process. Flat Earthers often describe their community as finding a family or a home, a place to belong. And like the skeptics, they enjoy the powerful emotional rewards of joining together to pursue moral goals, such as truth-seeking. They're bonded by a shared desire to change the world for the better. Flat Earth advocate Patricia Steer says this about her podcasting co-host, quote, "We're both in cause together, and that is a kind of love." So if I read that for any reason at all, it is simply to humanize these people. Because if we are ever going to engage with them, deal with their stupid ideas, and they are stupid ideas, let's not make any, let's be blunt. Okay, flat Earth is a stupid idea. But that doesn't mean the people who believe it are stupid. They are human beings who are motivated by the same kinds of things that you're motivated by. And it's actually the same thing with the QAnon people, too. It actually is. Okay, we have a call. Let's see what this is, Jack. Still in the queue, I think? No? No, there we go. I'm trying to...
Hello.
Oh, hello, there we
Hello.
go. Hi, you're on.
Hello. Hi, Chris and Melissa. So I guess I have an initial question that will lead to a greater question. My initial question is, at what stage when you enter Scientology are you told that you are a Satan?
Oh, right away. The spiritual existence of it is, you could be told that right away. It depends a little bit on what you're there for. If you have no interest in spiritual stuff whatsoever, you don't make it look like you do, they're not going to go there on day one.
Okay, so then my question is, when you get to OT4, how does the organization reconcile that you were once a single Satan and then now you're infested with multiple body Satans? My understanding is when you're born, you seek out a baby and you're now that Satan that's living inside the baby, but now you're infested with drug-addicted aliens.
Yeah, exactly. The idea is that those drug-addicted aliens or Thetans, basically, spiritual entities, are glommed onto... See, that's actually... I'm glad you're bringing this question up, because this is a questionable point. Because it's not clear whether they're following you as a spirit or whether they're somehow glommed onto the bodies. But I believe the way it's supposed to go, according to the way the memory works and the backtrack on it works, is I believe that those spiritual entities kind of travel with you when you go from life to life to life. They stick with you as a Thetan. I think that's the way it is.
And then so I know that the upper levels aren't there, but towards OT8, you have now you're back to being a single individual Thetan?
Yep. You have gotten rid of all of the body Thetans. That is the end result of OT7. No more body Thetans. You are free of them.
Okay, so I understand the cognitive dissonance, and by the time you're at OT4, but does anybody did you ever see or hear people have like the sort of that reconciliation of like, it's kind of odd that you're now multiple Thetans in a sense?
Well, that's the big reveal of OT3 that's so shocking, right? So that's the place where you reconcile that. And that's why it's such a touchy place for Scientologists, right? Why it is that you have a course room supervisor who shows you the issue from Hubbard and then is watching you very carefully to make sure that, one, you understand what Hubbard's writing, and two, that you are going to go along with it. And if you're like, get the fuck, what the hell? Is this insane? They're going to have to deal with you, right? And that's not the only place in Scientology where you might have reactions like that. And I, as a course room supervisor, many times, not on the OT level material, because I didn't supervise that, but there's other non-confidential information in Scientology that is just as bizarre. And I had to deal with that and walk people through it and show them how it could be that way.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. I love your show. I think I've watched every one of your Q&As and your, I forget the blue videos.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's Sensibly Speaking. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right. Cool. All right. So, good. All right. So cellular cosmology. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, that stuff. See, that was one of the things that pissed me off when I read the OT wells. I was like, body fate, what the hell? And one of the reasons it pissed me off so much is because of that question of, well, wait a minute, are they following the thetan or are they attached to the body? And if they're attached to the body, how is that supposed to work?
Yeah.
Like, when do they, I mean, how do they
sever? Yeah.
Like, what is this? Very, very upsetting. Okay. So, one other thing that Flat Earth and I believe QAnon have in common, yeah, conspiracy thinking for sure, but another point is religion. It's not a coincidence that the evangelicals and the this base Christian sort of thing and Trump as a savior figure of QAnon. These are themes that mix and match with one another easily. And when you have a whole bunch of people who are already in a frame of mind, now obviously most Christians think QAnon is total horseshit. So this is not any hit at Christianity. It's a comment on the fact that when you are already predisposed to believe in savior figures, it's a lot easier to sell one to you. That's all I'm saying on that. And QAnon is very definitely a savior figure conspiracy theory. It's a lot more than that. It's actually the sort of one conspiracy theory to rule them all in many ways. But religion is a factor, and it's a factor in Flat Earth as well. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that. This paper clarifies what I already knew in talking to so many of them, which is that atheists and science-based skepticism in the Flat Earth community is very, very rare. Almost non-existent. At the entire Flat Earth Conference, the International Flat Earth Conference that I went to, there was a small group of people who were saying, yeah, I'm only on this train because of the science. I don't want anything to do with that Christian stuff or the fundamental, evangelical Christian stuff. That's not why I'm here. Most people in the Flat Earth world are following a Christian narrative and a literalist interpretation. You have to. And in fact, one person quoted here, Robotham in 1865 said that, oh, no, not that. When the atheist is met by the Christian upon purely scientific grounds, he may be led to admit that biblical descriptions of natural phenomena are literally true. This realization would then lead disbelievers to admit that the Bible is truly the Word of God. And Mark Sargent has said, nope, that's not the right quote I was looking for. But that is a bit more on this, is the religious angle of it. I wanted to point that out. Because it's not a small thing. It's not a small part of this. And I don't believe it's a small part of QAnon. They don't talk religion or the Bible prophecies and stuff as much, I believe, as the Flat Earthers do. But I think it depends on which branch of QAnon you're going down. Now, one of the other things that I thought was, we have more calls in the queue. Mm-hmm. Here we go. All right. Want to know about okay, good. I believe this is Ellen. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
This is totally off your current topic.
Yeah, no, go right ahead.
The new picture on the wall.
Yeah.
The new one that you replaced?
Yes.
I want to know the story of that.
The Iron Man picture here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got this for Christmas. It's a Christmas gift from my wife. This is a Lego mosaic. And yeah,
what it is.
it's Lego. Yeah. And if you didn't notice, I am an adult who plays with Legos. Now I don't play with them. They are models for me, but you know, I do enjoy creating them. So yeah, so that's where that came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my question.
Awesome. Thanks for calling, Ellen. Thanks for watching the show.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Yeah, I love Iron Man. And I was very, very curious about the mosaics because Lego's put out a whole bunch of them. And now you can create your own online. They have custom little things you can make, and then you can order all the parts. So I might make some more.
That would be
custom
awesome.
Ones back there. Yeah, my plan in the long term. And we have another person in the queue. This is Terry. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I am good. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. I probably got two parts I want to talk to you about.
Yeah.
But the first part is the RPF, and what did you think about that with the Clearwater, how they booted that negotiation down with Miscavige? You know, so they took them off and for the new development for the museum property.
Oh, I thought you said RPF, so my mind was going in a totally different direction. I'm sorry. So you're talking about the Clearwater thing?
Oh, maybe I said it wrong.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. I just didn't understand what you said there. I have not had the time to dive deep into whatever happened in Clearwater. I know Aaron put a video or two up about it, and I know something very good happened, and I am very happy about that, but I can't speak to all the details because I haven't had time to watch the Clearwater meeting minutes video yet.
Well, they did stop the negotiations with Miscavige, and they just took it off the table so where they could put out for the development, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, I do too.
I think everything's turning, really, because of your show, and you got Surviving Scientology and the Aftermath, and I'm thinking all the others.
Yeah.
I think the tide is finally starting to turn down there. But the
That's
second
awesome.
part is, it is awesome, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's good news.
And it's like, you know, because you guys get a lot of support. You're getting a lot of, especially, you know, it's all colliding with the Aftermath show coming out.
Yeah.
And the years, and then you guys keep plugging away like you and, you know, Aaron and the rest of you. And it's just, you know, it's making a difference.
Awesome.
Okay. And what I want to talk to you about is the suppressed human history. I mean, have you ever, like, the Sumerian tablets or anything like that, or the Stroff tablets? I mean, have you ever, you know, researched any of that? And what do you think about that?
Did you say suppressed human history?
Yeah. The suppressed human history, you know, like how.
Are you like the Akashic record? We're not talking about like mystical stuff.
Well,
a little bit.
Well, I don't know. Oh, the tablets, I would have to say, is mystical, even though they're supposed to actually really exist. I mean, you know, the green tablets, you know, right.
My feelings on that stuff basically are show me the evidence, you know, and show me how it's conclusive, and I'll probably go along with it, and if it's not, then I won't, right? Because I'm kind of skeptical. But I
no, you don't have to be at all, right?
Yeah, but you know, I tend to think that, you know, our view of history is the phone game, is the telephone game, right? I mean, from generation to generation to generation. You know, I mean, when I see, this might sound off, and I am trying to go back to your question here, but I'm trying to say that I think history is so fluid and so remade and recreated century by century by century by century as our memories and evidence, change and are reinterpreted and reframed depending on, you know, who's the leader of the day and all that, that I don't know that we have a whole lot of really accurate idea of what's happened in the past other than the physical evidence that we've got, you know. And I always take everything in history with a little bit of a grain of salt because of that. Does that go back to your answer?
have you ever done any like research on the Sumerian tablets? I mean, because I never was even taught about Sumerians in school. I mean, that was something we didn't even discuss. And then to find out they're like, you know, like the first people.
Yeah,
all that other.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of looking into that. I knew who the Sumerians are and the Assyrians and the, oh God, now of course I'm not remembering any of the names, but I looked into the cradle of civilization and all that. Yeah. It's fascinating stuff. You know, I wanted to know when was the first city and you know, what was the first civilization, where do we come from, and you find this constantly being the story is constantly being revised as more skeletons are found, or as more settlements are found, as more sites are found. And the picture comes slowly into focus more and more. So, you know, do I think that there are parts of history that could have had the knowledge of them suppressed because of political, religious, or social reasons? Absolutely. Do I think there's some, you know, will I take that to a conspiracy level? No, I will not. And that's kind of how I go.
Think it's conspiracy. I don't think it's conspiracy level either, but I also think, you know, because as we evolved in this technology and the, you know, we're learning more and it's all coming out. And I think they should be teaching that more than just, you know, 5,000 year history.
Exactly. I mean, it would be nice if our textbooks weren't 20 years behind all the time too.
Right.
You know?
I hear you.
Yeah, that's a problem. So
I just want to know what you thought about that. And you know, Aaron announced that he might be running for seat on the council, on the, you know, the commissioners.
Wait a minute, Aaron made that announcement?
Yes, you didn't see it?
I did not see it, but I happened to know about that a long time ago. I'm just glad that he made it public now.
Okay, well, he's not going to put it in officially because he doesn't want, you know, Scientology lawyers to go after him, you know.
Yeah.
And an intent that he put it out there. He's got an intent that he's going to run. There's 2 seats coming up next year, and he's made the.
Awesome.
Isn't that awesome? I really
awesome.
do.
Yeah.
It is awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it truly is. In fact, I'm gonna have to reach out to him again and get him back on the show because it's time we get an update on Clearwater. Obviously, I need one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you do that, and I'll be watching. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for calling in. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, Melissa.
Bye.
All right. What a great call. All right. Wow. We are already past our hour, and look at all this awesomeness. Okay, guys, let me see. I just wanted to go over one more little thing, and then we will be done. And probably what I'm going to have to do is, you know, do a little video or something on this, but that's going to come
later.
I really wish I had more time on my hands, guys. I really do. I know anyway, we're making do. But there is an interesting thing here about cognitive dissonance that I thought was interesting. And let me find it. I marked it. Oh, is this it? Yes. Here we go. This is it. Okay. There's much discussion in the skeptical literature about confirmation bias. Okay, we talk about this all the time, right? You want to believe something, you know, you've got a bias to believe it. You're going to look at information and it's going to confirm that bias you have. And you're going to tend to reject information that doesn't confirm that bias. That's the simplicity of it. We all do it. None of us are immune to it. And yes, it takes some mental discipline to overcome it. Mm-hmm. And even if you overcome it in one area, that's not to say you're going to overcome it in another area. Mm-hmm. It's a constant vigilance. Continuing reading here, once we commit to a belief, it explains it. We unconsciously filter new information to support that belief. We tend to accept evidence that confirms what we already think and dismiss evidence that doesn't. This makes us resistant to changing our beliefs. We'll come back to that, but here's the thing, and this is an interesting thing. the opposite is also true. And it's just something to think about. When our ideas are hazy and incomplete, they're also more plastic. Before we commit to one idea, we can be more easily swayed to another. I mean, it's just confirmation bias in reverse, but it's, it's like, oh yeah, that's an interesting point. And this fits into available explanations for personal experience. Okay, and this is not just flat Earth. This absolutely applies to QAnon folks, okay? Skeptics have often confronted the power of personal experience in shaping paranormal beliefs. I know what I saw is a frustrating cliche. However, this again raises the issue of confirmation bias following initial plasticity. When people have strange experiences, they do not instantly commit to unshakable beliefs about what happened. They first go through a fundamentally rational process of considering possible explanations in light of the facts. During this process, they are not yet committed to any explanation in particular, though they may well be predisposed in some particular direction based on prior beliefs. Say that a person experiences an episode of sleep paralysis, which is a disrupted sleep state in which we regain consciousness of our surroundings before we regain waking motor control of our bodies. Sleep paralysis. A lot of us have experienced this. These terrifying episodes can include hallucinations, distressing physical sensations, and panic. Experiencers intensely desire an explanation. What the hell just happened to me, right? They look for one. But there's a problem. When you are looking for the cause of an anomalous experience, your search is limited to the set of explanations you've actually heard of. That's psychologist Susan Clancy from a 2005 book about sleep paralysis and alien abduction claims. Sleep paralysis experiencers cast about for culturally available explanations and find several. Perhaps they were attacked by a ghost or a demon or abducted by aliens. The scientific explanation of sleep paralysis has typically not been readily available in public awareness.
It's true.
Right?
I had a friend that ended up basically joining a cult. She used to have these things that I'm pretty sure were sleep paralysis, but she said she was visited by spirits. But the way she described it, it sounds just like that. I'm pretty sure she was having some kind of sleep paralysis. It was always when she was laying down trying to go to bed, something like that would happen.
Exactly. And here we go. So it's rational to hold proposed explanations up against our own experience and see how well those explanations fit. We generally accept the available model that appears to best match the facts. From there, confirmation bias slowly hardens our chosen explanation into a committed belief. We see this in the paranormal literature all the time. People who clearly experienced sleep paralysis often come to believe that they experienced a paranormal event. Once they're convinced, the subjective evidence of their personal paranormal experiences takes on an overwhelming weight. I was there, I know what I saw, right? But if they had encountered and fully explored sleep paralysis as an explanatory model before committing to aliens or demonic attack, they might well have accepted the scientific explanation because their beliefs were originally malleable, plastic, right? We could do something with them. They were still considering options. But once they've hardened and they choose and they decide, that's when all this stuff we talk about all the time comes into play. And I wanted to point that out under the heading of alternative realities. Now, there's more to say about this, which we're not going to get into tonight, but I want you to consider everything I just read to you about how people come to decide on the truth of a thing based on the available information they have, and then consider, what if the information you had was Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Or Breitbart, right? Or one of these outfits. Or Infowars.com. If you go spend a day on one of these sites, and I have, you know, you're going to come away with an alternate reality. You're going to see the world, the same world you're living in right now. You're going to see it in a very different light. You're going to have awakened, right? You're going to have one of those experiences. Oh, I feel like everything is so new and different because you're reframing everything in this new, against these new values, these new ideas that you have as delivered to you by Fox News. Same thing applies, of course, with CNN or MSNBC, but I believe most of you guys are people who probably watch those things more than you're watching Fox. I think that's how my audience tends to skew. I am saying this about all of these media outlets, to be honest with you. I think they all have shades of propaganda in them. But statistically speaking, from objective analysis, not my opinion, Fox News presents more falsehoods per unit of time than the other cable news networks. And that's no defense of CNN or MSNBC. They are horribly dishonest many, many ways, but they are not as dishonest as Fox News on any metric. And I know that's, you know, a controversial statement to some, but I feel very comfortable saying it because I'm not the only one doing so from an objective analysis of it. So anyway, just wanted to get all that out there. I wanted to take the show over a little bit to make some of those points and give you guys some food for thought. That's all this was about. Yeah, CNN is not as bad, sadly. That is the controversial point. And I know we can argue about that all night, but that's what I will say about it. Now, before we wrap up though, we have got to do our critical thinking cards. Fallacy of the week. All right, here we go. Now, this is my deck of cognitive biases and logical fallacies. I'm looking at the backs of them here, not the fronts. I'm going to randomly choose. Let's see. All right. Straw man. All right, straw man. This is a logical fallacy. Misrepresenting someone's argument to make it easier to attack. Okay, that is straw man or straw manning. It is misrepresenting someone's argument so that it's easier for you to attack it. After Bob said that we should be nice to kittens, Will says Bob wants to be mean to puppies. Everyone boos Bob, who is clearly a mean jerk for wanting to hurt poor, cute puppies. So you see the little linguistic nonsense that went on there is the guy said something about kittens, and then Will flips that and makes Bob anti-dog when Bob never said anything about that. So that's straw manning. Okay. And I'm afraid I'm going to, let's see here. We've got this. Steven. Okay, I'm going to take this. We have a call in the queue. Let's go ahead and take it, and then we will wrap up. I'm not going to take any more calls. Hello, you are on. Hi.
Hi, just a quick question.
Yeah.
I won't keep, because I know you're late. Where's Seven?
Oh, Seven's.
Do you have his last?
Yeah, I'll get him. Oh, that's right. There is Seven. There he is. There's
Seven.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Oh.
Still eating the catnip, this guy. Man, how much did you put down there?
Not that much.
I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay. Good. All right. So that is that. And with that, I think we will wrap up.
All right.
You guys. Okay, good. Next thing you know, people will be marrying their toasters. I love the comment section. I really do. You guys are so funny. Okay, guys, thanks for watching this week. Thanks for your support. Thanks for your viewership. Please do like and share the videos, I guess, get them around. That maybe that'll make YouTube share it or recommend my videos more. I definitely would like to grow the audience even more. You guys are the most awesome community of critics I have ever had, actually. This is really fun. Multi-level marketing podcast tomorrow. Epic podcast. You do not want to miss it. It is really good. Finished editing it. I'm going to upload it tonight. It'll pop up in a few hours. I really, really think you guys are going to want to check it out. And then we'll do Q&A as usual on Sunday. All right, guys. See you next week.
Good night.